Sometimes things go wrong, it happens to everyone. We all have those friends in Discord who overly highlight their glorious moments yet never mention the failures. Here are some short examples. Mine include boomerang Bill Cosby grenades, stalking prey like a priest outside a church, and all around mental test days. And yes, sometimes Wildcard puts on a strap on the size of Japan, whispering gently some Asian words before giving you the Pearl Harbor treatment. These things happen. Usually the best thing you can expect is a big middle finger from Wildcard's support team or a supportive, "That sucks bro" comment from a dear friend. But you know what beats all of this? It's that despicable moment when you meet your next victim, and that charming bastard hits you with some Stockholm syndrome. So basically what happened was Tom and I went exploring and we found a base owned by Mojo, thinking to ourselves this guy must be a Austin Powers fan. So we follow the traditional routine of soaking the turrets using Mr. Soak a lot. And as is tradition at this point, I will be speeding that part up because watching bullet soaking is the equivalent of putting a hand in a blender if you ask me. Lucky for us he didn't have too many bullets loaded at the moment, so the agony doesn't last too long. Mr. Mojo finally comes home, and little did he expect Tom had prepared an entire PowerPoint presentation about abortions and why women shouldn't have a choice in the matter. But Mr. Mojo is an educated, civilized escape artist and knows how to escape shitty people with shitty opinions. So as is expected, Tom fails at his one task. It's the one thing he is supposed to be good at, and now we get to deal with Austin Powers' rage. The idea of leaving a massive glory hole in your base is a lucrative approach, yet it sometimes invites undesired participants. In Austin Powers' case, we decided to give him a visual presentation of the scenario by shoving Soak-a-Lot's big lovable face head first. We grapple onto the chunkster and enter the building swinging like a teenager fueled on bath salts and Red Bull. We find Austin Powers inhaling fumes in the corner, and I guess he was as surprised as we were, so he sprints away to another side of the base. Suddenly we hear a voice in-game. It's Austin Powers, and unlike the screechy children's voices that we love hearing filled with panic and anger, it's a calm, gentle German voice. The voice of a man that could secretly be identified as Christoph Waltz from Django Unchained. He just chuckles and says, "I guess I surrender." Caught by the surprise, Tom starts talking with him, and we explain that we will leave his base alone if he lets us check up on his loot. Our main priority for this base was just to repair our flak gear with his materials anyway. Turns out Christoph Waltz is living here for the most part by his own, sometimes joined by his wife. He lets us see the vault and the result hurts, so we let him keep it. I imagine watching this is like watching paint dry, so I'm going to speed this up a quickie. Next he takes us to the blueprint vault, which is equally empty. Feeling manipulated and charmed, that bastard reverse raids us and we end up giving him gifts instead. I gave him an otter? What is wrong with me? I could have used that for testing turret settings. Weakness, that's what it is called. This is some comfortable orchestral music. Anyway, back to Waltz. He thanks us and we share a nice little moment. We tell him to move base location if he can, because eventually someone will wipe him out. But after feeling a few ticks in my spine, I realize quickly that being this nice won't last too long. The urge to shove an orphan's face in a meat blender increases by the second, and we decide it's time to leave. So if I forgot to explain this before, I did the mistake of letting Tom be alone for 5 minutes, which means he ran my snow owl down mid lane, as some people would say. So we tame a new one, because screw Tom and everything he stands for. Wrinkly looking future hobo prospect, that's what he is. Cooling down from being mugged, it's time to take a few deep breaths and find new faces to talk with. So while being out exploring the Ragnarok map, I spot Timmy 2 Shoes farming metal. Obviously it's time to make an introduction, but Timmy seems to be too busy actually achieving something in this game, so like the attention-craving man-child I introduce myself with force. That being said, apparently there is no cave damage on the entrance of this little African waterhole, and I end up looking like the bleach drinker that I am. Imagine missing the sniper shots on the guy that is over-encumbered with weight and still hasn't realized that he's even being raided yet. Yeah, imagine. Furthermore, when you have a visual of a target, keep on target, don't check what the waterfall graphics look like. There are better times to do that, and maybe do not get off the immortal dinosaur that you clearly took no time to heal up even though you just showed everyone that you tamed a snow owl. At least my chaos is consistent. Timmy Two Shoes has had enough and comes charging out of the rat hole smelling like whiskey and disappointment. Just like any mobster movie, the man has no problem shooting a shotgun at anything with a pulse. Finally meeting someone willing to play Edward 40 hands, I accept his challenge. The bola connects with the madman, and just like any professional doctor, I choose to gas that lunatic rather than put him out of his misery. The loyalty of his pet bird is short-lived. We wait until he goes to sleep to check his stuff. The option was to keep him narked, but honestly there was nothing really to collect from this base, so it was more fun killing him and letting him have a fresh start at defending again. It took a few minutes, but he mustered up the courage to come out and play again, this time with a more well-planned strategy. I clearly wasn't paying attention at some point because Timmy has snuck past me and thrown out a plain old grey Rex. He whistles aggressive, and that's more or less where I thought his plan would end, but I was wrong. Timmy has taken a few puffs on the crack pipe at home and decided to embrace the progressive method of sacrificing his friends. Odds are he thought that the Rex was going to be strong enough to gobble up Mr. Sokolot, but my main man was wrong, because Sokolot was found in Atlantis and takes shit from no one. Apparently, this has turned into a sumo wrestling match and I'm not winning, so slow and steady I get pushed off the waterfall. The beatdown continues for a while, and honestly this is gonna take like 20 seconds, so instead I'm going to tell you guys about how to boil the perfect egg. That's right, we are a cooking video now, so shut up and listen. When boiling an egg, make sure to keep that sucker in the water for no more than 6 minutes, no more, no less. This is important to get the best flavor because it makes the center of the egg still yolk-like yet gives the surface of the egg a great consistency, thus introducing a longer and more enjoyable experience. In Sweden we use something called Karl's caviar, which is amazing. It has a rather weird taste at the beginning but tends to end up being enjoyed more than hated. I highly suggest trying it sometime. Anyway, Timmy Two Shoes has finally figured out the next phase of his plan. Yeah, that's right, Timmy is not done with us yet. He has decided that if his friends are going to die for him, they might as well die gloriously. The lunatic's made himself a rocket launcher and a dream. My guy is going places, not college or anything like that, but places. While I was back soaking, Timmy found my newly tamed snow owl and gave it the Tom experience, making it the shortest-lived tame I think I've ever had. That being said, he has officially ruined my chances of getting inside the base without having to go back home and getting more items, so big props to him. Timmy Two Shoes is still sneaking around waiting for me to cryo Mr. Sokolot. But patience isn't this alcoholic suit of strength, and he decided that challenging someone sitting on a stego is the best choice. Stegos are currently the most broken thing in the game, and Wildcard has no intention of fixing that anytime soon. Well, once again showing everyone how closely related I am to Stevie Wonder, I miss more or less half of all the shots I fire. Timmy, however, is as hyped as a child locked in a candy store, so he sometimes hazardously shoots the ground in front of himself, eventually ruining his own flak. In an attempt to scare him, I opt to start shooting on the griffin instead. But as you can see, this hero would rather stand between the bullets than see his griffin get scratched, and if that doesn't qualify you for a free puppy at the pound, then what the hell does? Being the animal lovers we are, we continue to test Timmy. Sadly, in his spree he fumbles and stands still for too long, resulting in the end of this beautiful Thunderdome experience. My friend was a glorious man and deserves all the praise for taking so many fights. My man was sporting a flamethrower. What a champ. Well, no pet should have to see its owner die, so it is best we send him off to the next life in good company. That's about it for this episode. Good luck out there, people. See you in the next one.